Hello, good evening, and welcome to a busy weekend of football action. Oh well, wait a minute. There's only one game on this weekend. Yes. There's one game on tonight and one game on tomorrow night, and we've got a stack of championship games to talk about as well. And also we'll speak about Sebastian Panogli. The
Pocognoli.
Pug. Yes, exactly. I'll leave that one to you. Yeah. Um, and the European action as well. I don't know about you, James, but there was a mixed bag of action this week. So before we get into talking about the games and talking about the Dundee game tomorrow night, I'm looking forward to that one actually. James is joining us on the show. We'll be joined shortly by Reagan and Alistair. I think Alistair has failed a late fitness test, as they say, but he'll be here before you know. James, how are you? It's good to have you back on the show. It's been a wee while.
It has actually been a wee while since I've been on the show. I was trying to remember when it last was, but at my time of life, my memory's not very good. So, if I forget what I said to you 30 seconds ago, sorry, am I speaking to you? Uh, so
Ah, all
yeah,
right,
it has
okay.
been a wee while. But it's always great to come onto the show and have a bit of a laugh with you guys.
I can't remember your name. Yeah, James. Okay, so yeah, it's been a busy week. I mean, obviously we'll get into it later on, James, but just kind of set the scene for the wee bit because it's been a busy weekend, or sorry, busy week of midweek action Wednesday, and obviously last night we had four teams in the Conference League, and it's good to see from a Scottish football point of view.
It is, and it's a pity in a way that it looks as though Motherwell might be going out. But then they're up against a truly superb team in Freiburg, so it's not really a major surprise. But I actually thought, quite strangely, I thought Motherwell probably were one of the better chances of going through. You know, um, but the other results, not not the worst results in the world, but possibly could have been better. I mean, Hearts 2-1 up, lost a goal late on. A draw's a reasonably good result to take overseas for the second leg. Rangers, by all accounts, should have probably had more goals than the one that they got. And Hibs, absolutely, I'm amazed at their European adventures this year so far. I honestly thought after their first game that they were going to go out in the return leg, and they've just done really well. And then, of course, on the Wednesday night, Celtic, literally kind of blew away Lask, which I was a little bit surprised at. I did say I don't know if I said it to you on the WhatsApp chat on the night, but I said that Celtic would need at least a 3-0 lead to take over there next week because it's going to be a difficult game next week in Austria.
I think the bonus for Celtic was not to concede any type of goal.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite funny because I think I mentioned this to you earlier. I was watching the game and I literally turned my head away for a split second. And when I looked back at the screen, the guy was wheeling away in celebration and I go, and I tell you what, I was glad that it was decided as an offside because that would have been a terrible start. I think it was about 30 seconds into the game or something.
Yep. So basically, we're going to be talking about the games in more detail later, and hopefully Graham will be joining us to talk about the Hearts game last night against Rapid Vienna. I don't know what you think of that. A decent score, but it's one of these kind of games where you would want a kind of like two-each game away from home so that you know what to do when you come home. So we'll jump into that soon. But yeah, so when I was working on the show, as I do on a Wednesday, I was looking at a website for all the games, and I thought, oh, this is weird. All the games were off, but I forgot that. I knew that the Rangers at Mirren game was off, but I didn't realize that they cancelled every game. But then I realized that European action was at the front of everybody's minds next week. So, do you think it's a good thing for the SFA to do that, James?
I do actually, because how many times have we heard when Scottish teams are in Europe and they get put out that it's come too soon for them? They've had to come back from a big journey overseas, and then they've had to play on the Saturday or the Sunday or whatever the case may be, and then they've got a very quick turnaround to the next part of the European action. I know it's quite a recent introduction from the SFA, and I think it's actually quite a good introduction. Whether or not it will bear fruit, I mean, obviously you would love it if all of the Scottish teams could get through in their respective competitions, but whether that happens or not, I doubt it. As I said to you earlier, I think Motherwell are probably the most likely to go out at this point, because they lost the game 3-1. But you can never tell. You can never tell.
Never tell, and that's why we call it the beautiful game, because you don't know what's going to be around the corner. Or should I say, James, I'm linking this up to be a brilliant one tonight. Maybe not round the corner, but across the road. Did you dig that? For tomorrow night, Dundee and Dundee United quarter-six kickoff. I mean, I don't think me and you's actually been on the show before to talk about this derby, but I mean, what do you make of this, James? Obviously you've got the team bus before the game and all that, but that opponent just walks across the road to the neighbour's house, and I don't know about you, but I think it's obviously the Dundee and United fans will be used to it, but I think that's a bit weird, but it's also nice, a bit weird, but nice to see.
Yeah, I think it's probably the only city where you could have a derby like that. Although there's great rivalry between both United and Dundee, it's not like a lot of other derbies which can be quite bitter. So if you had, like, for instance, if Celtic and Rangers were literally across the road from one another, that would be an absolute nightmare. Again, likewise, Hibs and Hearts, if they were right next door to one another, that would be a nightmare. Dundee is a little bit more civilised, shall we say, in that respect, although I'm sure it has its moments. But yeah, the whole idea of you go into your home stadium and you can get changed there, and you can walk across the road or run if it's raining and go into the stadium of the game that you're going to play in. It's just quite surreal. I never realised, actually, when I was a wee lad, that they were as close together until one time I get taken up to a game up in Dundee, and I can remember asking my dad what was the football ground across the road, and he said, "That's Tannadice, that's the home of Dundee United."
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, but it's funny that you should. It's funny that you should mention that, James, because it's one of the kind of friendlier derbies, you would say, because obviously we've got two interviews to be played out tonight, and I was speaking to the Dundee and the United fan, and they were saying that you can actually go to the game and shout abuse at that opposing player, but you can also go to the pub and sit there right next to a Dundee or a United fan in the pub and have a drink and talk about the game. But you could never do that, Celtic and Rangers.
Well, there's very few places in Glasgow where you could probably do that these days, Celtic and Rangers fans. But again, going back to when I was a lad, it was quite common for Celtic and Rangers supporters to mix Sometimes even during the games, not necessarily all the time, but sometimes they could mix during the games. I remember my dad had a pal who was a big Rangers fan, and whenever the game was at Parkhead, he would sit amongst the Celtic supporters and he would have his Rangers scarf on. Nobody bothered him. Likewise, they could go to Ibrox and my dad could be sitting amongst Rangers fans with his Celtic scarf on and nobody bothered them. But that all changed, obviously. And nowadays, you'd be very wary of wearing your team colours in the enemy territory, for want of a better expression.
Yep. So we're going to talk about the Dundee Derby more in a wee minute or two. But yesterday, I thought, it would make more sense in listening to the fans about the game, like who's involved in the game. And so first up, we're going to hear from a Dundee United fan about the game, obviously, because they're the home team tomorrow night. So we're going to speak to Paul McNichol. He is a host of our Dundee United podcast, and I was speaking to him about the game yesterday, and this is what he had to say about the game tomorrow night. So it's another derby this weekend. Obviously, last week we had the Ayrshire Derby in the Cup, and that was something special because I think it was because we've never saw an Ayrshire You would think I would get it right and play the right interview. That was the Dundee perspective, but now I'm going to hear from the Dundee United. So here we go, and Michael press the right button. Okay, well, here was Paul to talk about the game. Before we dive into the game against Dundee on Saturday night, I know like the season has just started, so and obviously you took that heavy defeat by Celtic in the League Cup last week at Tallaghass. But how do you think that the season has started for United?
It's been a bit mediocre at best, I would say, Michael. Like we obviously we got through the group stages of the League Cup, but it wasn't exactly spectacular. We then started the season with a home game against the Rangers, where I thought we played all right. We maybe could have snuck it at the end, but we got a point out of that one, which I guess a point against them's never anything to cry about, I suppose. We then got absolutely trounced at Tynecastle, and if you only look at the scoreline from Saturday against Celtic, we got pumped again. So it's not been the best start, but there have definitely been some promising signs within their results.
I've never known a game, Paul, to for Celtic to win the game last week. But you know, if you didn't know that the score, if you were only looking at the statistics of the game, you would be guessing Dundee United would have took something out of that game, because I think you guys hit the crossbar, the post, everything, but the net, 5 times. It was unbelievable. Yeah,
5 times, but who's counting, Michael? Well, it was just one of the games, wasn't it? Celtic were ruthless, and we were just about 4 or 5 inches away from scoring 5 goals. But that's football for you. It can happen.
So I want to speak about Jim Goodwin, because I think that the supporters are up in Tallaghass way is still kind of like a bit divided, you would say, about Jim Goodwin. I think he's actually doing a steady job, but I'm looking at it from the outside, Paul. So just give me the inside knowledge of the kind of like United fans to Jim Goodwin.
Mm-hmm. Well, I tend to be in agreement with you. I think he's doing a decent job for what he's got to work with, and also the turnover of players almost every single summer. He's having to build a new team. But there's no getting away from it. Like, there's a lot of fans that just have never taken to him. They don't like him. They would like him out the door, probably. I'm not one of them. I think that he's doing as well as can be expected. Now, that's not to say that I agree with everything he does. And certainly last season, when we had defensive issues, they never ever got fixed. And then we've kind of come into the start of this season And as I just mentioned, the last 2 games we've shipped 8 goals. So you would probably be inclined to think we've still got some defensive issues there as well. So yeah, I can. Some of the criticism of Jim Goodwin I think is merited, but some of it is just simply a case of people just didn't like him, can't take to him. Maybe didn't like him from the fact that he used to be a bit of an antagonistic opposition player against United, but that's it's just what it is. He just, in defence of him, or in fairness to Jim, sorry, he just seems to get on with his job. He's probably more than aware of the fact that there's a little bit of ill feeling towards him from some United fans. I wouldn't want to say it was a majority, but there's definitely a portion of the fans that are no overly supportive of him. But in general, no, I think that we're relatively fortunate to have him.
I think as well, Paul, looking at the Jim Goodwin situation, I don't know if you would agree, but if he wins like the Scottish Cup or European Cup, GIC one year, you would like that to happen. The supporters would still not like him, still no matter what he does, they don't like him.
Possibly, but when you're at a club like United, we've only won 5 major trophies. So if Goodwin was to win the Scottish Cup, like, I'm not saying we would build a statue for him, but I think a lot of people's thoughts and opinions on him would possibly change a wee bit. But I mean, that's the land of like what might be and what might happen. Like, that's no based on anything that's happened yet. So I hope that you're correct, Michael, and I hope that does happen for my sake and for the sake of all the other United fans out there. But yeah, that seems a long way off just now. So we'll have to wait and see on that front.
Let's speak about the game on Saturday then, before we talk about Dundee. But obviously it's a high-profile game. It's a derby game. It's on the TV. It's 5:45 on Saturday night. But last weekend you had the Ayrshire Derby, and obviously in a few weeks' time you've got the Edinburgh Derby as well. And also you've got the bonus, Paul, of this weekend not having any top flight game apart from yourselves and Dundee going at loggerhead. So how important is it to put a good advert on, not for the city but for Scottish football in general, and because it's on TV?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm thinking about it selfishly, I wouldn't care if it was the worst game in the world and United won 1-0. But I think historically the Dundee Derby does tend to throw up pretty good occasions. They're usually quite entertaining. They're invariably tight affairs. I could see this one being no different, because it looks like certainly this season United have changed the way that they're playing. So they're quite high pressing and quite forward thinking. And I think Dundee, in fairness to them, they're probably the same. So I could see goals. I could see this one being exciting, and I can see it being quite a good watch for the neutral.
Looking at the game now, talking about the game, what are you expecting? Obviously, you've got home advantage, even though it's just across the road to your neighbours. But what are you expecting from Dundee then on Saturday?
Dundee. So I've only managed to catch a couple of their games this season, and the one guy that has always stood out to me, certainly this season, is the winger Joe Bevan. I always think when you've got pace in your team, pace can hurt anybody. It can hurt the best defenders in the world, clearly none of which play for Dundee United at present. So the boy Bevan, he's going to have to be watched, because he's a threat anytime he gets the ball. If he's on form, he'll be a problem for United, especially, as I say, the way that we're playing this season. The wing backs are more offensively minded than they are defensively minded, and that's shown in the last 2 results, I would say. So if you're a Dundee fan, a Dundee-minded punter, coach, or whatever, a player, you probably think that you can get at United through the wings, and they've got one of the fastest wingers in Scottish football just now.
How weird is it for, obviously, you're at home this time, but how weird is it to have your neighbours in the same street as you, Dundee, across the road?
They're just were wee neighbours, so they're noisy from time to time, but it's fine. I'm born and bred in Dundee, so it's just normal to me. I think it's quite a bit of a wow moment for people that are not from the city, and they actually come in and they see how close these two stadiums are. So yeah, it's a nice wee quirk of the football landscape in Scotland. But yeah, like United are the better team. We're the bigger team. We've got the best fans, the biggest fan base, the best team. So yeah, it's not really an issue, Michael.
And obviously you've got Lorraine Kelly as well. So what more can you ask for? I was speaking to Stuart about the rivalry in the city, because obviously I don't need to tell you about the old firm, Glasgow and Celtic and Rangers, and obviously you've got Hearts and Hibs, and last week you had the Ayrshire Derby, and obviously you've got the Inverness Derby as well. But Dundee United doesn't strike me as a kind of hatred derby.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like we certainly didn't look to Dundee to get good results anytime they're setting foot on a football pitch. But there's certainly no the hatred. Like in the city on a match day, you can go to the pubs with your mates who support the other team. You can meet up before it. You can go to the game, shout at them, shout at the pitch, call them all the names under the sun. Whatever the result, so be it. And then you can go back to the same pub and meet up with the same mates after it. And there's never usually any hassle. Now, obviously, there'll be some United fans that can't stand Dundee. There'll be some Dundee fans that can't stand United because we've maybe tormented them for their whole lives. But in general, it's not a patch on like the old firm. Like it doesn't come close to the hatred and the feeling, the ill feeling in that one. So I don't want to say it's a friendly derby, but it's a lot friendlier than a lot of them.
It's a lot friendlier than a lot of them. I wonder what he'll say if Dundee beats United tomorrow night. I don't know if he'll say that as well. Thanks for joining us, Paul McNichol, from a Dundee persuasion about the game tomorrow night. Graham has joined us. Graham, how are you?
I'm good. I've just finished up today. I'm on holiday now till the 2nd of September, so I am very happy.
This man's always on holiday, James.
You know, you took the words right out of my mouth there, Michael. I was just about to say the same thing. Every day is a holiday for him.
Hard for it.
It's great to see you, Graham.
You too.
So yeah, that was a Dundee persuasion, Graham, and as I said, this game takes a spotlight in Scottish football this weekend because it's the only game on 6:15 tomorrow night.
I think it's great that this game's getting highlighted because it's the only game, and the fact it's a derby makes it even better. I mean, I've been quite impressed by Dundee so far. I know they were quite poor against Aberdeen last week. The week before they beat them, of course, very comfortably. But I think most folk thought last season Dundee were going to struggle with Stephen Presler, but he's actually done a very good job. I think he's signed reasonably well. I'm glad Paul mentioned Joe Bevan there. I think he's been excellent. He's quick. He's creative. He will be a real handful for United. And the fact United have conceded 8 goals in the last 2 games, yes, defensively very, very poor. But it kind of feels strange to say that a 4-0 win last week sounds really, really like a riot. But United played well. You know, the fact they hit the woodwork 5 times, I don't think you see that in many games. Maybe once, but not 5 times. They were a bit unlucky. But Celtic, they are just so clinical just now. They look ruthless. They're taking their chances. I already said I think Celtic win the league. I'm going to go one further than that. I think there's a very good chance Celtic go unbeaten in the league this season. They just look very strong. But United tomorrow need to get a reaction. You know, they won't be judged on games against Celtic. But a game like tomorrow, in front of the TV camera, at home, against their Dundee rivals, this is a great chance to get a bit of momentum going. And the fact there's no other games, I think it's great that this game is the only game that's on, obviously, tomorrow. It'll be a great occasion. I mean, the Dundee Derby is not the biggest derby in Scotland, as we know, but it's usually one of the best. There's plenty of goals, there's plenty of entertainment. Both teams just going hammer and tongs at it. Some decent quality as well. I mean, I've said before, I think the Dundee Derby is better than the Edinburgh Derby, and I've seen a lot of Edinburgh Derbies. But I think this is going to be a really good game. Both teams are going to go for it. As I say, both teams at the moment, maybe not great defensively, but it's such an interesting game, I think. And I think most of the stuff Paul said there was right. You know, I think Jim Goodwin's done a decent job. Didn't work at Aberdeen, but you know what? Managers go to clubs and sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes a manager fits a certain club, and I think he just fits United. I think he really does fit United, and you can see that. So yeah, I think tomorrow's going to be really entertaining. I'm expecting a really high-scoring game.
James, last week, the Celtic game, but have you ever saw a game where Celtic dominated the game? Dundee United hit the bar and woodwork and pie stall and all that about 5 times and never scored a goal.
I've seen quite a few games in my time where, you know, the sort of losing team should have done better and they've missed chances, but I don't think I've ever seen a game where they've hit the woodwork, you know, and so consistently, as it were. Unfortunately, I was away last weekend, so I didn't see the game. But I get alerts on my phone, you know, goal alerts and stuff like that for games. So I was aware of what was happening, but I didn't know until after the game was finished that, you know, there had been such an assault on the goals that never actually went in.
Alaska has joined us on the show, and I hope you had. I hope you didn't drive in 2 wheels to get here in time. But
I think you're on mute, Michael. Are you? Can't hear you.
Sorry,
can't you hear Michael?
That's not a bad thing.
I was going to say that. I didn't want
it. Yeah, that's not a bad thing. Yeah. Can you hear me? No.
I can.
Yeah. Yep. No, I was just going to say. That's good. So I can speak about you, Graham. You don't know.
He's having a great time. He's talking to himself, but I can't hear him.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Can you hear me, Graham?
Can hear you, yeah.
I can hear you, and I can hear James.
Can hear James as well.
And I'm not saying anything. It's that Michael. Technology, it doesn't do him any favours at all.
Let me see. Okay, can you hear us now?
Well, I can, yes.
James?
I can hear you.
Yeah, okay.
Unfortunately.
It must be that Jambo again.
I can't.
It must be that Jambo again. There we go, Graham. Can you hear us now?
I can hear everybody but Michael.
So it must be whatever that.
Or James. This just happened since I arrived, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a jinx, Alistair.
Okay, do you want me to bugger off? Sorry, I can't say that, right?
Too late, you have.
Maybe if you disconnect and try reconnecting,
do sign language?
Well, we could do that, but the signs I would use are not allowed on TV.
Yes. So okay.
Try disconnecting and reconnecting, and maybe that'll give you a better.
On the way here in the car, I was listening to Times Radio, and they had exactly the same thing. They were going across the correspondence, and they couldn't hear a thing. And it happened 3 times in a row. It was a bit embarrassing. So it's probably just some malicious germ that I've brought with me from the car.
It's probably Grim. Probably Grim. No, he's a nice guy. So I don't know if Grim can hear me now, or am I just a bit of a noise? No?
Graham, can you hear Michael? Can you hear me, Graham? James, can you hear me?
I can hear you absolutely fine. I can hear Michael fine.
I can't hear you, James. Sorry.
All right.
I'll tell you what. I'll go away and come back. I'll go away and come back again, possibly. Because it may be me.
That.
I'll see if it can be me, but
yeah.
Yeah, because I could hear everybody, Michael. Absolutely, no problem.
Oops. Yeah, the show is going well, wasn't it, James?
Bring back Regan.
Yeah. Bring back Bertie Vogt. No, don't bring back Bertie Vogt. That's going to skip too far. But yeah, what Dundee United, Dundee. Obviously we'll hear from Stuart in a minute or two from a Dundee persuasion, but are you looking forward to this game tomorrow night, James?
I am. I always look forward to the Dundee Derby. I must admit, as Graham said earlier, it's always a good game to watch. I'm a wee bit concerned because Simon Murray is going to be out for a wee while injured. I think Dundee have signed somebody to play centre forward, but I don't know. He's such a driving force for the team, Murray. So I think he'll be a big loss to them. But I think I'm going to stick my neck out and say it's going to be a draw.
Oh, Desmond. There you go. Okay, so we've allowed Graham back on for about 5 minutes. If you can't hear me, well, he's got to go to Easter Road for the weekend because nobody's playing there. Graham, can you hear me now?
Who said that? Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay, yeah. By the way, I think you were winding me up 2 minutes ago, James, because everybody could hear me. But anyway, even my next door neighbour could hear me, and he's not in the house. Alistair, what about you?
Well, I can hear you, yep. And I could hear Graham, which is an improvement on previously, but I don't think I could hear James. So,
all right.
Unless he was just...
That's not necessarily a bad thing.
Still can't hear James.
Alistair, no, he still can't hear me. It must be something to do with the four of us being on screen.
Yep, we can all hear James, yep.
Right, I can't, so I'll wing it.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Which is what I've been doing. Bear in mind, I've had a sabbatical for a year because we weren't in the Premiership, so I'm trying to get back into the habit of this. So
yeah, it's Graham, you were saying about before you get cut off about the game tomorrow night. I mean, this is going to take a good aggregate for Scottish football because last week we had the Kilmarnock United game. Obviously, you've got Hibs and Hearts coming up in about 2 weeks or something like that. And then obviously you've got a small matter of Celtic against Rangers coming up in September as well. So how good is it for Scottish football to have all these kind of derbies?
Yeah, absolutely. Even though I'm a massive Hearts fan, I do love a derby. In the game last week, the Kilmarnock game was a fantastic game as well. Really enjoyable advert. I felt sorry for Ayr. They put so much into that, but I felt sorry for them in the end. But yeah, having the derbies is great. And like I said, the Dundee United derby is actually a really entertaining game. I can't mind the last bad game I saw from those two. So this should be a really good game. And I think the fact that it is the only game in Scotland in the Premier League this weekend is great because a lot of folk will probably tune in and watch it. It should get a decent advert and hopefully both teams will really go for it. Like I said, United at the moment can't defend and Dundee have got players that can cause problems. I mean, it's a massive blow that Murray's out. He's been such a fantastic player, not just for Dundee, but for all the clubs he's played for. So he'll be a big, big loss. But I do think Dundee have got players that can cause them problems. And I think, like always in any game, the first goal could be critical. If United can get it, get the fans right behind them, they can maybe build on that. But if Dundee get it, after what's happened the last 2 weeks for United, then you just start to wonder if there might be a little bit of pressure put on Jim Goodwin, even though I think he has done a good job.
Alistair, what do you think about this game tomorrow night? I know that Dundee and St Johnstone don't see eye to eye at times as well, but this should be a decent game tomorrow night.
Well, at the risk of getting thrown off the show at the first available opportunity, I agree with Graham. I think I would go a little bit further. I think having talked to a few United fans in the last 24 hours, there's a degree of trepidation there because although they played well against Rangers, they obviously took a tonking off Celtic, though, to be fair, I think everybody will this season. And yes, people did say to me that Jim Goodwin might be on a bit of a shaky peg. So I think that's nonsense, personally, but that unfortunately is the way football is now.
Okay, so before we talk more about this game, let's hear from Paul's best pal, Stuart, from across the road. Stuart Murphy is a Dundee United fan, and he's a well-kent face.
No. He's not a Dundee United fan, Michael.
Dundee,
That's like,
yeah.
That's like saying Graham's a Hibby.
Never do that. Never do that.
Let's speak about Stuart Murphy. He's a well-kent face on the show, and don't make the same mistake I did and call him a Dundee United fan. He is a Dundee fan, and obviously he used to be the chairman of the club and everything above. And it's actually quite funny. But before I play that interview, he's actually going tomorrow to hospitality, so he's actually going to walk across the road to the game at Tallydale. So I felt that was quite funny actually, because obviously if it was at Easter Road or Tynecastle, you would have to get a bus and all that. But no, he walks across the road. So nobody messes with Stuart as well. Maybe because I called him a United fan and might not speak to me again. But anyway, so this is the interview that I did yesterday with Stuart talking about the game tomorrow night against Dundee United. In recent years, we're used to a Dundee Derby. We'll talk about that in a minute or two, Stuart. But I know we're only a few games into the season, but how do you think the team's shaping up at this early stage?
So, if you go back a year, Michael, and you compare it to the mood, if you like, in the camp, it's completely night and day. How the team's shaping up, Dundee perspective, bit of disappointing result last week, Pittodrie, and given what had happened the week before, and the League Cup section as well was relatively encouraging. Didn't top the group, which that was disappointing as well in itself, but certainly rattled a few goals in and had started the season off reasonably well. Decent performance at Parkhead, and then really convincing home win against Aberdeen in the league. It could have been more than 2-0. And then in typical Dundee style, we went to Pittodrie and we reversed some of that feel-good factor. But the more important things, I think, about what happened last weekend is that we're strikerless nearly. We've now lost 2 strikers. We were pretty threadbare in that department, and we've got one individual, Joe Wesley, that we can throw up front, which isn't naturally he's always his top position. So hopefully before we get to Saturday, we can get an incomer, which might be able to bolster that attack. So if I'm giving the season a start, it's probably about a 7 out of 10 compared to the last season's 1 out of 10. I can take.
I know that I think the last time you were on the show, Stuart, you were on a few times last season, and we were talking about Stephen Pressling. You were a bit kind of like in the middle, you would say. But I think he's actually, from an outsider looking in, and you'll be able to tell me something different, I think he's actually steadied the ship in a way.
Well, what's happened is different this season than last. So, yeah, my own point of view last year was I was in the middle, but I was in the lower half of the middle, if you like, because some of the performances have been really poor. I think what he was trying to do at that point was he was trying to instill a bit of team togetherness, and that obviously takes time. Football supporters are naturally patient, as you understand, and the appointment was now welcomed with open arms. Let's be honest, there was a huge backlash to that, which he's now actually acknowledged in press and said he had a really difficult time with it, although you would never have known that because he seemed like everything was just going to bounce off him and he was just going to carry on. But we're all human, and I think it did make an impact to him personally. Plus, he was living away from home. His family were down south. So he was basically doing this up on his own and getting a bit of flack. Got to remember, Michael, that what happened last season was that he inherited a team that were basically a contract, right? We had so many few players available that were on permanent contracts. and then you had to assemble a squad quite quickly with a lot of loan signings. The difference this season is that pretty much them all are permanized. The signings you've made are now Dundee players and will be for the next 2 to 3 seasons. The goalkeeper's on a loan, and possibly the striker that I mentioned earlier on that might come in. They're talking about Bobby Wales, that might be the lad that comes in from Swansea, because there's a decent relationship with Swansea because we've used them before, and he looks like he might arrive today, fingers crossed. But in terms of permanent signings, they've got that degree of consistency, and it's permanent now, which means that there's a building block for going forward. So there's a different feeling about this. It's he's now got his own style on the team as well. You get to work with what you had. Now you can tell what he's trying to do in terms of formation, in terms of the team togetherness. And one thing that's really evident is just how much the players are working for him. So whatever's happening behind the scenes in terms of building that team spirit and loyalty is certainly paying dividends. So I think we'll be looking more from middle to top this year than we were last year when it was just about escaping bottom. There's enough in there, I think, to challenge some of the teams for top 6. I'm not saying necessarily we'll get there, but at this early stage in the season, who knows?
So, as I said, Stuart, we had the Ayrshire Derby last week, and it was a brilliant advert for the Scotland game. You've got the whole of Scottish football watching you this weekend because obviously the Dundee Derby is the only one on in the top flight. So all eyes will be on the game on Saturday night. What are you expecting from Dundee United?
Well, that's another thing, because it feels as if they're in a similar position to the way that we were last season, because what they've done is they've built a completely new side, and it's been a bit, and from the outside looking in, it's been a bit in and out for them. They've had 2 heavy defeats in the last couple of weeks, but performance-wise, I don't think they were particularly that bad. I saw a wee bit of the Hearts game. I joined the Hearts game. I saw it from 2-0 down, and the spell that they had, and then I didn't see it again until I knew the final score. But the period that I saw United playing in, they looked decent. They looked really decent. I didn't see last week's game against Celtic, but I understand that he hit the woodwork a few times. Had a good bit of the ball. So, I think I wouldn't read too much into those 2 4-0 defeats. I think that the manager's trying to do something similar to where we were last season. I hope he doesn't get it right. Certainly hope he doesn't get it right before 5:45 on Saturday. But it might be that they just need a bit of time again. And he gets a bit of flack in the city. Dundee United fans, I think a lot of them would like to see him gone. But you've got to be careful what you wish for managerial-wise. Look at us. We would have hounded Mr. Prezzo at the door a year ago. And now, we're not quite at the stage of building a statue of him, but he's universally and massively loved. So Dundee United fans have just say this way, they've got an expectation level which I think sometimes isn't that realistic because it's based on past glories. We're living in a different climate these days. And I think that they need to be realistic about what they can expect. But see, derby games, Michael, are a completely different thing anyway. And it depends on how individuals react. I mean, it might not have the volume, the attendance that a Celtic Rangers game gets, or even the Hearts Hibs one. But in terms of intensity, when the match has gone on, you can find out who are men and who are boys quite quickly in these matches. And so opening stages of the game will be quite interesting because when they try to find their feet, 5:45 kick-off, the atmosphere will be pretty heightened. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good game.
How healthy is it for the Scottish game? Obviously, I mentioned the Ayrshire Derby a few times, albeit that was the Cup last week. And Celtic and Rangers, well, that Celtic and Rangers, they kind of like speak for themselves, basically. But obviously, like you've got the Edinburgh Derby coming up in a few weeks' time. But how? And obviously, you've got the Dundee Derby, as I said, going on Saturday night. How healthy is that for the Scottish game, but also for the kind of like broadcast media to cover these kind of games?
Well, you know, if you're outside of Glasgow, there's much more to the Scottish game than the two big clubs in Scotland. Much more. And for the other clubs to get some coverage and some attention, and as you've pointed out quite cleverly earlier on in the chat here, you know, it's centre stage, isn't it? 5:45 Saturday, no other games, and there's not been any other Premiership games in the afternoon. So that is, you know, you're leading up to the, you know, the sort of centre stage element to it, and I think it's great. You know, it gets a good coverage on live TV. It will get a good coverage across all the media. It's where all the attention will be focused. And there is more to football than Celtic Rangers. And, you know, Kilmarnock and Ayr, you know, they proved that last week in a ding-dong affair down in Ayrshire. And the Edinburgh Derby will be similar. That's coming up too. So I think it's great for the game in Scotland. I think there's much more, as I keep saying, to the Scottish game than just the two big clubs. And it's great to see that centre stage element taking place on Saturday.
There we go. That is Stuart Murphy talking to me yesterday ahead of the Dundee United game. We've got a full house now. We have got myself, Alistair, Graham, James, and the goalkeeper is Reagan in between the sticks. So I think we've got quite a good team here, actually, apart from me. But yeah, Reagan, how are you?
I'm not bad, Mike. I'm glad to be here now. I clicked on the link earlier, wondering where everybody else got to, but finally got there.
Yep. So I'll just having a back time tonight. So 1 minute he can't hear Graham, now he can't hear me. I think that's a good thing, to be honest with you, Alistair. If you can lip league, that would be much better for you. Oh well, either way. So there you go. Reagan spoke to the guys early on about the game tomorrow night. What about you? Are you looking forward to the Derby?
I mean, it should be great, Mike. I mean, like you said to Stuart there, it's on the telly, it's on at 5:45 at night. So I think it'll be good. Obviously, I'm hoping to see most of it. I'm going to the Queen's Park Beach Tennis Muir game tomorrow. So that should be good as well, Michael. But aye.
Yep. Nope. Also, Alistair, can you hear me now?
I can, yes. Yep.
All right. Okay. That's good.
Coming through, the quantity and the quality are both exemplary.
All right. Okay. Well, that's what
I don't know if I can say quality, but
I'm surprised you can say exemplary.
I had my fingers crossed when I said it, Mike.
Yeah, that's what it says in my CV. But maybe it's somebody else's CV as well. But yeah, Alistair, good advert for the game tomorrow night to be on the TV at 5:45.
Yes, I have obviously no idea what anybody said in the last couple of minutes because I was having technical issues. So I apologise in advance if I repeat what everybody else has said. But yeah, only game not the only game in town, obviously. I did catch the end of what Stuart was saying, and he was talking about, wasn't not just the Old Firm. I would go further than that and say actually there's quite a lot of good games lower down the leagues. Regan's obviously going to go one of them. There's some very, very good entertaining football outside the Premiership if you want to go and look for it. As somebody who comes from Perth, I obviously want both teams to lose tomorrow, but that's not going to happen. So I just, yes, it's really good. It will focus everybody's attention on that. Hope it's a good game. Dundee are playing well. I think that we've got them in a couple of games' time, though our schedule's been so disrupted, it's hard to tell when we're actually going to play again. I would not be surprised if it was a draw, but I also wouldn't be surprised if Dundee win. I would be slightly surprised if United won.
Reagan, obviously you saw Celtic against United last week. I was saying to James that have you ever saw a game that Celtic won the game convincingly, but Dundee United hit the bar 5 times during that game?
Hi, Michael. I thought they played really well, and I think Jim can be very disappointed because I thought, even though Celtic ran away 4-0 winners, I thought Dundee United still played a very good match, to be honest with you. And I think possibly going into this match, they can be seeing themselves as a kind of a winner of this match, because I think Dundee playing Aberdeen last week, I thought they would have fancied themselves to possibly beat Aberdeen after beating them 3-0 the previous weekend. But I think, in general, I think Dundee United will still be feeling pretty happy with themselves anyway.
James, Jim Goodwin is doing an okay job, as I said to Paul, but also in the same breath, across the road is neighbour, Stephen Presley, is steadied the ship a wee bit, because I remember us doing the show when he was appointed, and a lot of people was a bit unsure.
Yeah, he got off to a very shaky start, Stephen Presley, last year. And certainly so far this season, he seems to have kind of, as you said, steadied the ship. But it's still very early days, and I think, the loss of Simon Murray is going to be very telling over the course of the season. As Graham said, wherever Simon Murray's played, he's always been a very, very good player for every team. And he will certainly be a big miss to Dundee, not least tomorrow.
Yeah, no, exactly. What are you expecting, Reagan? Are you expecting a kind of open game tomorrow night?
I think both teams will go for it, Michael, and I think it'll be made for a very good match, to be honest with you. I think it's possibly a StreamYard issue, guys. Because if that's 2 people now that's not being able to hear, then it must be a StreamYard issue. But I think in general, Michael, I think it'll be a great match to watch. And like you said, I think the fans of both teams will pack out the stadium as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. James, obviously it's weird for both sets of fans to, not get any supporters buses, because the game's that just walk across the road to Talladice tomorrow night on Tallagate Street, actually. But yeah, I'm expecting a very kind of like open game. They're 2 good footballing sides, and if I'm not corrected, was it not last season Dundee was 1-1-0, and then United 1-2-1 at the end up?
Yeah, I think you might be right on that. But it is very much, I've always found when I've been watching the Dundee derbies, whoever more or less gets their foot in front, generally speaking, will go on to win it. There have been occasions I've watched it when that's not been true. But as I said earlier, I like Alistair, I think it will probably be a draw tomorrow, and I don't think it will be a high-scoring draw.
So, Alistair, time to predict the score tomorrow night. Remember, who's your best pal? Stuart Murphy. So I'm just warning you in advance here.
I got it well, Stuart.
Yep. So you're going for United win, aye? No. Yeah.
As I said before, I think, well, if you want me to predict the score, I think it'll be a draw. If you want me to actually put numbers on it, that costs extra, right? so
5-1.
I'm kind of with James on this. It's not going to be 4-4. Let's put it like that. And there'll be one. If somebody wins, there'll be 1 goal in it, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was 1-1.
Reagan?
I'm going to go 2-0 to Dundee United. 2-0.
Okay, so I'm going to be a bit nice for James. James, I know it's a bit, a bit of a shock, but I like Stuart Murphy. I think he's a nice guy. I also like Paul, just because I spoke to him for 10 minutes, and he likes the Lorraine Kelly as well. So I'm going to sit in the fence. I think the weather's quite nice, Reagan, for me to sit in the fence. So I'll go for Desmond tomorrow night. I'll go for Dundee United 2, Dundee 2. There you go. That is the big game tomorrow night. We could have spoke about the other games, but they're all off. But I can give you it if you want. St Johnstone against Celtic, Rangers against St Mirren, Murrow against Aberdeen, the High Bees against Kilmarnock, Falkirk against Hearts.
No, it's no. No, it's no. None of them are playing. I don't know why you're talking about them.
I know. Well, I'm a nice guy, so that as the same bullseye years ago, that's what you could have won as well. But let's just jump into the championship now. I think these games will be a midweek game. I'm not sure. Let's jump into the championship then. Inverness against my Packet Thistle, Reagan, tonight.
Aye, they're playing tonight. Aye, big game. 2 unbeaten teams in Scotland in a minute. So aye, should be a good game.
How good is it to see Inverness back in the championship, Reagan?
Very, very good, and hopefully the locals of Inverness will be there in big numbers tonight. Aye.
Yep. Alaska, I mean, surely Packet Thistle has got to come up this season, because it's about 4 or 5 times now.
What's the thing about bridesmaids and brides? I think. What do I think? Okay, right. Bias time. I'm currently chairing David Witherspoon's testimonial committee. David's playing for Inverness, therefore I would like Inverness to win. Nothing, no logic whatsoever, but he's a really nice guy, and also he's the most garnered St Johnstone player the whole time. So on that basis, Inverness deserve to win, irrespective of whether Thistle are the better team or not. To answer your question, though, looking at, and obviously I've got a little bit more experience in the championship than you guys, because I'm pretty sure you didn't go and watch many games last season, whereas I did. I may remind you that a certain team from Perth coasted the league, but the reality is that Dunfermline should win it, in my view. They've got the money. They should. They've obviously lost 1 or 2 players, one to us, but I mean, they were the team I thought would win at the start of the season. Thistle, I think, will be there or thereabouts. Whoever's second won't come up, because the dice are so loaded against them, and it's very rare, as we know, for the team that's second to come up against the second bottom team in the Premiership. I think beyond that, there will be the occasional surprise, because Stenhousemuir obviously are major surprise against Motherwell. So they're looking quite good, but they're not going to go up. Morton, I fear for. We played Morton in the Cup. They brought on these boys. Honestly,
yeah, not very
it
good.
was. There was this little boy who was warming up. We thought, he can't be old enough to play, and he came on. One of my friend's wives said she thought he had a safety pin through his shorts to hold him up. And it was literally men against boys.
This is why we like Alaska to be on the show, guys.
Well, wait to get my invoice. The reality is, I think, nobody wants them or Artley or any of the other clubs to go bust. And they're obviously in deep financial doo-doo, but they've got a problem. Dunfermline should win it. They've got the money. They've got a manager who's obviously will be on good money as well. And I think they can go back into the market if they need to. But I don't see anybody walking away. I mean, I talked to, obviously, I didn't believe it till we actually won it, but a load of people with more knowledge of football than me said after a couple of games, St Johnstone were going to win the league. And that's obviously what happened. I can't see that being quite so obvious this season, though. Don't know what you guys think.
Well, to be honest, I was a bit surprised St Johnstone won it so well last year. I kind of thought they were going to run out of steam a little bit, but they obviously didn't. I just think that the Championship is a very difficult league to come out of, regardless, whatever teams are in there. But I would love to see Partick Thistle making it into the Premier League. Being a Glasgow lad, I used to go and watch Thistle on occasion when I was a youngster as well. And I think they'll be good for the Premier League if they come in. By the same token, I don't really want to see anybody dropping out of the Premier League either, but, that's just how it goes. And as you said, Alistair, if Morton were to go bust, I think that would be a tragedy. I really do think that would be a tragedy.
It's interesting, actually, James, because from a purely selfish point of view, I would actually quite like Thistle to come up as well, because it's an awful lot easier for me to get to Thistle from where I live than it is to get to Perth, right? Whereas Inverness is a bit too far away. Dunfermline's doable. The problem is I've just bought an electric car and I've got serious range anxiety, right? So it gets me to McDermott and back, that's fine. And it gets me to Blairgowrie to play golf, so that's fine, but it won't get me to Inverness, not without stopping several times for major surgery. So I'm quite happy to have Hamilton Accies if they could get promoted. Motherwell, obviously, Kilmarnock were pretty rubbish when we played them, to be honest, but I would quite like them to stay up. A bit like you, James, I'd like them all to stay up. I'd like a bigger league. There is not a cat in hell's chance of that. I was talking, as you may or may not know, I do have some sort of tie-up with an organisation which gets into Hampden. There's no chance that I can see of an expanded league at all, because the big clubs just do not want it. Simple as that, and they'd rather have 10 than 12.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Right, I think you'll have to ask us something, Regan, because Michael's falling asleep there, I think.
So in terms of the match, obviously on the Friday night, I think it'll be a close game. I think obviously Partick Thistle will probably go in as favourites, but I think in terms of Inverness, I don't think they'll go down very easily.
No, they've always been quite a decent team, Inverness. I was a wee bit surprised that they almost went out of business not that long ago, But again, that's not really the football. That's to do with the people that are running it, not being able to do the job properly. And often, my opinion, but often you've got guys who are running football clubs that don't really know anything about football. They know a lot about business, but they don't really know anything about football. And a lot of business ideas don't transfer to a football club. So you need to have a good understanding of
it. Sorry, guys, I know that probably sounds strange, but I mean, in terms of Inverness as well, I mean, they went 2-1 up at time casual last week, so I suppose they can take some sort of thing into this match, thinking that they can actually do well.
Absolutely.
I know they went on to lose 6-2, but they've still got a chance.
No, absolutely. I mean, I saw some highlights of their game that they ended up losing so heavily, but I thought for periods in the highlights that I seen that they were definitely in there and had a good chance. Probably just collapsed in the end up.
So you go. No, I was just going to say, if we can look at the other games tomorrow, because I know that Alistair wants to. Alistair's not match fit, and he's got to go away at 6:15. And just to get
Alistair wants to stay married. That's what it is.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's him. Not Matt. Anyway, I've got that bad cough back. I don't know why. I want to speak about the Scotland manager before you go, but just to dive into the other games tomorrow: Morton against Arbroath, Livingston against Dunfermline, Queen's Park against Skinner's-Moor, the team of the moment, actually, you would have to say. Raith Rovers against Ayr United. So, I mean, pick your game of the day, guys, out of that one.
Michael, you forgot Queen's Park against Dunishmuir.
No, I mentioned that.
No, to be fair, he did actually. He did
I
mention
didn't
it. Yeah.
mention it. I
He,
didn't
he
mention it.
never mentioned Queen's Park.
No, that's true.
He just said Stenhouse Muir.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
right, okay. Yeah, sorry to all the
What did you-
spiders
I didn't
out
even
there.
think Queen's Park.
So the
This
answer-
this in my local team.
Yeah.
The answer to your question, if I can remember it, that's the question, not the answer. Probably the Livy Dunfermline.
The Dunfermline game, aye.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for me too.
And I think
yeah.
that'll be the kind of thing, if Dunfermline are going to win the league, that's the kind of game they've got to win.
Aye, especially quite early on as well because they drew last week. So if
Yep.
say if Partick Thistle win tonight, then Partick Thistle probably go, is it possibly 8 points ahead, possibly already. So I think they probably don't want to go any further behind, you know, because like I think Dunfermline are, like Alice has said, they've got a big chance, but if they drop points a lot, then that's something that other teams are going to feed off as well.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing for me about the Premiership, well, one of the many interesting things about it, apart from the lack of VAR, which was just brilliant, absolutely fabulous, is that the Premiership is going to be over by Christmas, right? So there's not going to be an awful lot of interest thereafter, really. You know, depending on who you support. But
Do you think Rangers are going to win it that easy? Surely no.
Well,
Rangers are not doing well, didn't they?
I didn't actually say who was going to win it, but I kind of think that it would be nice if it was Hearts, let's be honest, but it's not going to be them either. I don't know if anybody saw Kieran Maguire's post on Twitter the other day where he said that they're actually bringing the football stats north of the border. Now, those of you who are old enough, and I suspect that's none of you apart from me and possibly James, might
Oh, that's terrible.
I said possibly, might recollect that what's his name? Ian Dewar used to do this for PricewaterhouseCoopers for Scotland years and years ago. Great guy, Ian Dewar, big Saints fan. And obviously that's kind of dropped off. But what was interesting was that the illustration on Maguire's Twitter feed was, because you can subscribe to it for 3 days and get it free for 3 days. If you want to go and have a look at what the financial situation is, it won't tell you anything you don't know. Celtic was about 140 million. I think Rangers will be over 100. The rest, you know,
nowhere near
5, 6, 7. We're going to turn over about 5 million in the Premiership. You know, I was talking about the wee boy with the not the nappy on the safety pin through his shorts. It's like that. You know, you're looking at Celtic are going to tonk everybody this season, apart from occasionally when they blow up, and then when they play big clubs in Europe. So that's not exciting. It's maybe for Celtic fans.
It's very exciting, Alistair.
Is it? Well, I'll take your word for it. No, I think. Yeah, don't get me wrong. We lost 3 games last season. That was really exciting. You know, would I like to see it all the time? Yes. It's not going to happen all the time, so I just get used to it. But honestly, take off any particular bias you have towards any certain club. That's just rubbish for Scottish football. Those of you who are actually subscribed to or who are members of our SFU will have had a newsletter with some stats in it. I don't know if you've seen these or not, but since the SPL broke away in 2000, there's been 2 occasions in which the third place club was 9 points or closer to the champions. One was last season, the other time was Aberdeen. In 2001, 2002, anybody remember who was third?
No.
You'll be amazed when I tell you. We just mentioned them a few minutes ago.
St Johnstone.
No, that was no, it was Livingston.
All right.
No
Livy.
way.
Good old Livy.
Yep. Like to hazard a guess how many points they were behind the champions?
6.
45.
You're joking.
No. Like I said,
45.
yep. The team that's third has been, I can't remember the
I'm
exact
gonna check
figures,
that
but if you Michael can forward you on the newsletter, it's something like 18 times it was over 30 points behind, 12 it's over 20, it's something like that, only 2 times. That's not good for Scottish football, I'm sorry.
No.
It's not good for
Oh,
Scottish
it's
football.
not,
You know,
I didn't know that. Thing.
you've got more serious issues. Sorry, I'm going on a wee hobby horse here, right? So we've got this summit coming up, and what we are hearing through the back door is that it's about getting more game time for young players, right? So what happens? The boy from Hearts gets signed by Chelsea for 400, 500 grand, right? You know, we had a huge paper in 2014 done by the SFA about exactly this subject. Hardly anything's happened. There's a few recommendations have been pushed a bit. Nothing's happening. Let's be honest, we were pretty pants at the World Cup. It was good fun, but we weren't any good. You know, none of this is going to change unless some serious radical change. It's much better fun watching a game in the Championship without VAR than it is watching your team getting absolutely hammered 4-0 by Rangers and Celtic.
Well, did you not see Motherwell last night? Motherwell had only one Scottish player in the squad last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how many Celtic and Rangers don't have an awful lot. I mean, the people have done the stats. You know, it's really hard. Now, my friend John Litster, who basically has a database of everybody who's ever played Scottish football, and he updates it every year. And he tells me over the last decade or two, you just see the decline in the Scottish players. None of that's good. You know, you want to see, like the boy McPake. The boy McPake, I think, if he carries on the way he's playing at Hearts, he'll be playing for Scotland by the end of the season. That would be good.
I don't think he would have been playing. See if it was Steve Clark, he probably wouldn't have been playing, but because it's this new guy, hopefully.
Yeah, well, I think that's possible. So I'm talking too much, Michael. Just tell me to shut up, by the way.
No. Michael, what's the new guy's name again?
James is loving me to say this all week. I have been practicing it, and it's wee Seb from Bells Hill. No, it's Seb. It's Seb Sebastian Pognogli. That'll do.
Nearly.
It comes from Belgium, but it actually sounds Italian. So, Alaska, I would love to hear your thoughts about the new manager.
Well, I think we should call him Tintin, because if he comes that's a lot easier, right?
He might end up being Captain Haddock.
He might be Captain Haddock. He might be. Well, let's not go down that particular road, because there's bound to be something that gets in trouble with the Tintin characters. I'm afraid I'm going to plead the fifth on this. I genuinely don't know, because I didn't know anything about him. Did anybody seriously? I'm just about old enough to remember Bertie Vos. He said lying through his teeth. That was not the world's best decision. Let's cut to the chase. The SFA does not have the money to recruit a top flight manager. No. End of story. Just doesn't have it, right? So we're not going to make much money from the World Cup, despite what people think, because we had to qualify out of the group to make a lot of money. That didn't happen. So there's not as much money coming back as you'd think. So all those things are constraints. Look at the squad. You talked about McPake not getting a game if it was Steve Clark. That's quite possibly true, sadly. We have not got anybody, because I am old enough to remember Billy Ormond's team. Just different class from what we've got nowadays. In every position. Different game, I appreciate different, but there is nobody there who could lace Douglas's boots. No. Not so. Even going back before that, just to give my age away, though, was about 3. Well, maybe not quite. People like Jim Baxter, just different class from anything we've got. And our midfield's the strongest part of our team. McTominay was a disappointment in the World Cup. The defence, I think I posted a joke somewhere about if Steve Clark had remained the manager for the next 4 years, then Grant Hanley would be playing at Stenhousemuir and for Scotland. So I'm hoping this is a breath of fresh air, but the problem is it's a new broom, but he's got the same crumbs that he's sweeping up. And I don't mean that in a disparaging way, because I want Scotland to do well.
That's quite good. I like that.
You know, but I
analogy.
honestly think there's got to be wholesale change. It's not going to come from this summit. I don't think Neil Doncaster has talked to us about having a sort of focus group about league reconstruction, but I think that's just window dressing. Unless we have serious radical change, it's not going to change, because people are going to go for people from what we've just said, a German, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen. And the guys we've got, the guys who went down to Fulham and Arsenal, I mean, great for them. You know, great for the Hearts boy going to Chelsea. He'll be making more money than the actual senior pros at Perth are making. Will he make it? Well, the boy Dare went down to Fulham. He's now back on loan at Queen of the South. No disrespect to Queen of the South, but that doesn't smack of a guy that's going to be playing at the top end. And we got about £250,000 for him. You know, that's more than we got for Joshua McPay, because he did the pre-contract thing. So I don't know. I'm hoping for the best. I'm not preparing for the worst, because I think we know the standard by that. But I think if he actually does one thing only, and I'll leave you with this thought, and that is he actually tries to get us to go and attack and not just sit back and defend. And if we get beat, I think the Tartan Army will, so long as they see the effort, you know, it's like your own club. If you're getting hammered and they down tools, then you're really hacked off.
Yeah.
If we put in the effort and we actually look like we're going to have a go and try and score a goal or two, then I think the fans will forgive a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Yeah.
You're spot on.
Okay. And on that profound note, for reasons of domestic harmony, I'm going to have to go, and also because I've got gin and tonic with my name on it. So, after my year-long sabbatical,
that's the real reason.
After my year-long sabbatical, that's probably enough for another year, actually. So, nice to see you all again, and we will see you again at some stage when you're short and you need a substitute. Okay.
Yeah, I'll see you soon, Alaska.
Okay. Cheers then. Bye now. Bye.
Cheers.
I think just to pick up on talking about a sub, Alaska's off. Graham is on for the 5th time tonight. So obviously, I would like to get your thoughts on people watching this. Alaska was talking about youth development football there, right, James? But I suppose like where international football is different to club football is, he can't buy anyone. It's got to depend on the player that's coming through. And if there's no any players coming through, well, we're snooker, for a better word. But the club should do more. And I do think as well that the pathway to getting into the first team, whether it's Celtic, Rangers, Hearts, Hibs, Inverness, or whatever, they should be using that more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, really, your big clubs, and by your big clubs, I'm talking really everybody in the Premier League in Scotland, they should give more opportunity to promising young Scottish players. But because they can afford to go out and bring in people from overseas, that's always the easier option for them. And the fans are not really, at club level, are not really that interested in youth development to that extent. I've been saying for years that Scotland, a long time ago, should have done what the Dutch did through the late 50s, all through the 60s, was develop players. And then you had the generation that had the Cruyff and Neeskens, etc., Johnny Rep, a brilliant team. Unfortunately, they never won a World Cup, but they were a fantastic team. And they're still kind of reaping the benefits, the Netherlands, to this very day. Whereas Scotland, sadly, in my opinion, the SFA just see pound signs in front of their eyes and they're quite happy if the money's coming in.
Graham, what about you?
Do you know what? A lot of us over the years have criticised the SFA, rightly so, for stuff they've done. I think this is a great appointment. I'm excited by this. For the first time in a long time, it's bold, it's brave, it's fresh. It's a guy that wants to play attacking football. The guy won the Belgian title with USG for the first time in 90 years. He's a guy that's got a philosophy of bringing in young players, which I think we do need as well. I mean, Josh McPake was brilliant yesterday. I'll get to him shortly. James Wilson scored a fantastic goal.
What a goal was it?
What was that?
I said it was some goal, Graham, wasn't it?
It was. But I think this is a really, really good appointment from Scotland. I genuinely thought when Clark went, I thought, we're going to go. I actually thought about this before he got appointed. I thought, Reagan's game right. It'll be Stephen Naismith, something like that. I thought, that's wrong for me. I think this is really fresh. It's something different. Yes, he's young. He's 39. It's his first international job. But I just think this is so exciting. It's fresh. It's different. I think we'll see a different Scotland side. And I think the fact he's got 4 Nations League games coming up, it's not just 2, he's got 4 games. I think that first Nations League squad will be really different. I think we'll see a few different players in it. Hopefully, we will see the binning of loyalty players like Grant Hanley. Probably not, but hopefully we see that.
Yeah,
but I genuinely think this is such a great appointment. I'm buzzing for this. For the first time in a while, I'm buzzing to see Scotland now because I just think this is so brave and so bold. So I take my hat off to the SFA. I think this is a really exciting appointment. I genuinely do.
I totally agree with Graham. The only thing I would say is it's only totally brave by the SFA if they totally rip up and start again. Because if they go with that, right, we'll bring this new guy in, but we'll still play Grant Hanley, we'll still play Che Adams, then it's pointless.
Yeah. You have to, Regan, you have to get a balance, right, between the guys that have got experience and the young players coming in. And we all know that there are certain players within the Scotland setup who have just been basically pals of Steve Clark, and they're getting in. And you saw Steve Clark's squads coming up, and I don't know about you guys, but every time I see one of his squads, I just went, oh.
It was really
it never enthused me. The only time it kind of enthused me was young Doak came in, and then the young boy Curtis.
Right.
And Fletcher, the young lad Fletcher.
Right. Tyler Fletcher.
Yeah. They were the only 3 that kind of really got me a wee bit excited. Sadly, the boy Fletcher never got a game at the World Cup. I don't know why. Even if he'd just come on like 10 minutes before the end of, a game, it gives him a bit more experience. But I thought that Doak and Curtis, did really well at the World Cup. The more established guys, not so much. And as Alistair said, you know what? Scott McTominay, where was he? Did he actually go to the World Cup? All the hype about him. And I don't really blame him, Michael. I don't really blame him for that. But do you know what I mean? All the hype about him, and everybody was really expecting him to be like a star at this World Cup.
I mean, you could say that about John McGinn as well, James.
I'm only using Scott McTominay as an example. There was more than him didn't step up to the plate. But again, that kind of goes back to the thing with Steve Clark picking the same people all the time, because in his opinion, they were tried and tested, and he knew that what he would get from them. And what he was getting from them in the main, most of the time, was not really a forward-thinking football team.
I think, we talked about this at the time, but I think Steve Clark deserves massive credit for getting us to tournaments. The World Cup, the 2 Euros, fantastic. But the issue is, and you spoke about this as well, Michael, I've been at the party and stuff, but we went to those Youth World Cup and didn't turn up in any of them. Like, they were so poor. Like, we had to wait 1998, our last World Cup. The Scotland fans were so excited to get to America to see Scotland the World Cup, and we just didn't perform. Even that Haiti game, yes, it was great. We won the game, fantastic, but didn't perform. And the frustrating thing is, you look at teams like Cape Verde, who were fantastic, one of the stories of the tournament, and you look at that and think, how could Scotland not do that? Yeah. That's where I just think that a guy like Pogagnoli will go. See, I can pronounce the name. We can go to these tournaments and actually.
I like them.
I wasn't even remembering
now.
We can actually go to these tournaments and perform. That's when I'm so excited. I just think Steve Clark had a lot of good points about him, but when it got to the tournaments, we did not perform. Now you can look at Steve Clark, you can look at the players, and James and that are right. McTominay was dreadful. McGinn was dreadful. Andy Robertson was really poor. But was that the tactics? Was it the way we were playing? I don't know. Was it the nervousness at the World Cup? Because that Haiti game, we looked very nervous, understandably so. But we just didn't perform. And that's what I think, if you go to the World Cup or Euros, I've said this for ages. I said that at both the Euros and the World Cup, I would rather get knocked out having a goal than sitting back and be defensive. And that's what we did. We sat back and were defensive. Why not have a goal? We may not have won, but you know what? The fans would have gone, do you know what? Fair play, we had a goal. We didn't do that. And like I said, look at Cape Verde. They had a goal. I just think we need to be better in these tournaments. We have to be better.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely spot on, Graham. You know, and too often, you know, when Scotland have got to a big tournament, they have kind of gone back into their shell. I mean, really the last time, in my honest opinion, that they went to a World Cup and really had a goal was back in 1982. And that's my honest opinion. Every World Cup they made after 1982, they started to get further and further back into their shell. They did well during, you know, qualifications, etc. But when they got to the big stage, it was kind of like the stage fright took over, you know. And as you said, for me, go out, play the game. If they got beat 6-0, I don't care. They get beat 6-0. If they played well and played, you know, an attacking game of football, I can applaud them and say, well, do you know what? You were up against a very, very good team. I mean, if they lost 6-0 to somebody like Cape Verde, I'd be kicking the telly. Do you know what I mean? But, you know, in the main, you know, if you play well against a good team and you get hammered, you can't really complain about it. That's my opinion.
I heard a podcast with Archie McPherson who said that this is the worst Scotland team at a World Cup. And I think he's right. I genuinely think he's right. And I think a lot of those players need to look at themselves and go, if those players got back on that plane and said, did I do enough? If they looked in the mirror, they would probably say, no, we didn't. We didn't do enough. We're disappointed, the Scotland fans. And that's who I feel sorry for. The Scotland fans that travelled all that way to our first World Cup since 1998. And they didn't really have a moment. Yes, I know we won the Haiti game. That was a deflected goal. But we didn't have a moment in this tournament that you thought, that was great. That was quality. And that, again, I think is where the frustration is. We didn't have that one moment that you could actually hold on and say, yeah, that was brilliant. We didn't have that. And that's where I just think Pogagnoli with his fresh ideas, like I said, yes, he's young. It's his first international job. But listening to him, listening to his interview, I thought he came across really well. You know, he talked about he wants to play this high press, high tempo. Granted, you can't do that. You can't do that with Lyndon Dix and Che Adams, but that's where you have to look at different players. Yeah. And I do think there are players there that could do a lot better job. And you talked about Tyler Fletcher there. I've nothing against that guy. I've never seen the guy play. But why would you not pick Lennon Miller? Why are you taking Tyler Fletcher over Lennon Miller? That I didn't get. And then you take Tyler Fletcher and don't play him. So I just think things like that, I am really intrigued to see what his first national team is going to look like. Because, I listened to his interview and he did say that he's been doing a lot of work. He's been looking at the Scotland players and stuff. So he will know what he's got. And like you said, Mike, you can't go out and sign players. But that's where you've got to look around Scotland, look around Europe, look around England and stuff and see what you've got. And then try and bring these young guys through. Because there are players there that can do a job. Like James Wilson up front. I think he'll be a fantastic player. Maybe now, I don't know. But there are players that could do a job in that team. But I think we have to get away from this, like I said earlier, loyalty players. Yeah. Nothing against Grant Hanley, but his time's done. Nothing against guys like John Souttar, his time's done. Bring in younger players, fresher players that are going to actually adapt to the way that he wants to play, which is that high press, high tempo. Lawrence Shanklin can't do that. He's not a striker that's going to do that. So bring the young striker that's going to be able to do that. I honestly, like I keep saying, I am generally so excited to see what we're going to do under Pogagnoli. And it's only a 2-year deal. You know, if it doesn't go well, then fine, we've not lost anything. If it does go well, he might stay on. So we've not really lost anything. But this, for me, is something that I do think you have to applaud the SFA for and say, do you know what? Fair play. You've gone a different route. You've not gone for a Stephen Naismith or a John McGlynn. You've done something different. I like that. I put it in the group chat. I like that. For as much as I've criticised the SFA over the years, I like this. It's fresh and I really like it.
I don't know if you guys watched the programme me and Michael done about last week with Stephen Naismith, and I basically said on that programme that like Scotland, maybe the SFA, maybe the players probably celebrated too much the way that we got a 1-0 win in the World Cup instead of going right. Maybe we can do better the second game, but everybody was just hoping that we could sneak through some sort of group table and try and make sure we got through. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you look at like even smaller nations like Croatia, like Norway, even that got to the last 16, they weren't gone there thinking, right, if we can sneak through by a goal, that'd be great. They were going there thinking, right, if we can try and do well here, that'd be good.
Yeah, you've got. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to have belief, right? You don't have to go and shout it for the rooftops, oh, we're going to win this competition, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, which too many football players do. But you have to have belief in your own ability. And when you go out onto that park, you have to exercise that belief and you have to show that belief to the punters. And then they will get behind you 110%. Because at the end of the day, supporters applaud people who really try. Even if they can't succeed, we still applaud them because they've tried and they've done their best.
Apart from Rangers fans, they shouldn't be every game.
I thought you were going to say apart from Michael there, but that's another story altogether.
That's another show, James.
It felt like our main plan at that World Cup was beat Haiti and then hope we don't get hammered in another 2 games. And that was just the wrong way to do it. I mean, seriously, you were actually looking for that Brazil game, hoping it wasn't going to be a 3-0 defeat or a 4-0 defeat, and that's what it was. Actually have a go. And again, I think what went against Steve Clarke as well, and I know he's gone now, so this isn't really, that's a mute point, but I think we spoke about this at the time, but his reaction on the telly to the interviewers was completely wrong. You don't do that. They've got a job to do. They're having to ask you questions. They don't want to be sitting there after a 3-0 defeat to Brazil or a defeat to Morocco and asking the Scotland manager about it, but they have to do it. It's their job. They get paid for it. You have to stand there and just accept that. And I thought his reaction after that was so poor, especially Connie McLaughlin. She's a professional, and I felt sorry for her. That, for me, was just completely wrong what he did for that. So for that thing, I'm kind of glad that he's away, but you don't react like that. Coming out and saying, I don't want to do this. You have to. Scotland fans want to know what went wrong. You have to stand there and take it. So for me, that was just a complete no-no.
But you know what really annoyed me about that, Glenn, the whole World Cup, right? We can take it on a different level, but too many teams in the FIFA President and all that, we're not going to right. But this World Cup was designed for teams like Scotland to qualify, and yet they still failed to qualify. I was kind of like a bit embarrassing, and obviously that goal against Haiti, it was like a reflection. All right, we would take it. It was 1-0, but I mean, and then we just collapsed after that, and it was just a utter embarrassment. And Haiti was like, I don't know, I don't want to say that they were the benchmark, but well, they were. The first World Cup ever, and yet we've been, we've been in big tournaments for years as well. Think of the great football players that we've had in the past as well, and yet, guess what? We still failed.
To be honest, if you look at that Haiti game for long spells, they were the better side. I mean, they should have got something out of that game. And that's what I mean about moments. All we had was that John McGinn goal. I had a few mates that were over in America, and they came back and said the trip was great, but the football was awful. And they're right, because you can accept, like James said, if you get beat 6-0 or something because a team's been better than you, that's fine. But I think over the 3 games, I think we had 2, maybe 3 shots on target in total. That's not good enough. That is not good enough. And now we've got to wait 4 more years to find out if we're going to make it again. And I think again, I heard a lot of folks say that, this tournament was designed for teams like Scotland to qualify. But the fact is, we did win the group to qualify. We'd have qualified anyway. But you have to actually perform when you get there. I mean, we were all, before the show, before the first game against Haiti, we were buzzing. We couldn't wait for it. We were so looking forward to it. And I genuinely thought we had a chance to get out the group. But then I kind of thought, actually, it's Scotland. Maybe that wouldn't happen. But we were just so poor. We were so poor. And I just feel that we should look at the teams that were in there that did so well. And I keep going back to Cape Verde, but they were so good. And it makes me feel so frustrated that we went there and didn't perform the way we should have. And some of these players might not be at the next World Cup. And to be honest, there's some of them I'm quite glad that it won't be. But we just need to do better. And I think Paul Gagnoli will actually do a decent job. But these Nations League games will be a decent test for him. And again, the one thing he's got now is qualify for Euro 2028 because it's in the UK. You want to be at that. So that's a big thing for him. So yeah, I just honestly, I can't wait to see what he's going to do and who's going to get picked in this squad. Because hopefully some of that deadwood will be gone.
Okay, let's move on now to talk about the European football, and that was a brilliant result for Celtic this week. We'll talk about that game in a wee minute. But first and foremost, we must speak about Hearts because Graham has warned me to talk about Hearts first. 2-each at home, Graham. I mean, I don't know about you, right? But see, if that was away from home, you would be jumping for joy because obviously, like you're coming back to a full house at Tynecastle. But 2-each at home in the first leg, I'm not so sure. I mean, what did you think of it, Graham? I mean, I never saw the game, so you be as well placed than me, James, and Ray get me comment on that.
Yeah, I'd like to get a win to go over Austria because it's going to be a difficult tie. I mean, they're not in the same class as Benfica, who were just a different league to us. But I thought first half we were quite poor. We didn't get the press right at all. I'll come to a reason for that in a minute. But they were the better side in the first half. Could have been 2 or 3 up. Bo Roos has to make a couple of big saves. The goal we lose is so poor. But then for 25 minutes in the second half, we were very good. We get the equaliser. Great play from McPake, who I thought was our best player on the night until he went off. And that goal from Wilson is just sensational. I mean, what a strike that is. Nobody saw it coming. It was just unbelievable hit from the youngster. And then, again, just poor defensively for the second goal. I mean, this is the way that Frankie wants to play. It's risk and reward. We're going to score goals, but we're going to concede a lot as well. We played 8 competitive games. We scored 15 goals and lost 19. We can't defend. And against good teams, we're going to get absolutely obliterated, which is worrying when we come against Celtic in a few weeks' time. But we are looking decent going forward. We do need a number 9, though, because one of the reasons that it didn't really work in the first half, and I don't like to criticise players at Hearts, I try and defend them, but Landry Kabori was awful. Like, for that 50 minutes he was on that park, everything he did was wrong. He looked like a competition winner. He couldn't control the ball. He couldn't hold the ball. It didn't stick. He was dreadful. When he came out second half, I think most of the crowd just went, oh, no. Wilson comes on and just lifts it. But we need the number 9. We have to get a striker in. We are getting a striker in from America. I think we need another one as well. I thought Claudio Braga was great. But again, I've said it for months. I don't think he'll be here when the window shuts. He'll be gone. I think he's too good for me. But we go Austria with a chance. In the 2 previous games that we've had against Sturm Graz and Benfica, the games were done by the second leg. At least we're still in this one. And I think we'll cause problems over there. I do think we can create chances, but the issue is we can't defend. I mean, do you know what? The funny thing is, see the players we've lost, the likes of Shanklin, the likes of Devlin and that kind of stuff. The biggest thing we've lost is Ross Grant, the set-piece coach, because we can't defend set pieces now. He was a big thing. I mean, generally, I kind of wondered, why do you need a set-piece coach? Now I know, because we can't defend them. So, yeah, it is interesting. I mean, Hearts are going to be, if you want to see goals this season, watch Hearts, because we're going to score goals, but we're going to concede bucket loads. But you know what? It's exciting. It's risk and reward, and it's fun. I mean, when Frankie came in, he spoke about organised chaos. Jesus, he wasn't wrong. Seriously, go to Tynecastle, you're going to see plenty of goals. I just don't know who for. But yeah, a 2-2 draw. I think in the first half they're taking that because Rapids were the better side, but then second half it was a bit more even. But we're still in it. We're still in it. We've got a big opportunity, but we've got to defend so much better than that.
Yeah, I think if you go over there and you get an early goal, it might kind of shake up the home team a wee bit. For me personally, I don't see Hearts coming out of this tie. I would love it if they did, but personally, I don't see it. I said to Michael at the top of the show, I thought Motherwell would bend me a good shout of causing the upset. I don't see them coming through. Hibs, I think, are probably the best bet out of those four teams to get into the next stage. Rangers, who knows? Do you know what I mean? On one hand, they look great, and the next minute they're like a team of people that have been thrown together in the car park. You know, they just don't seem to be able to communicate with one another. But as I said to Mike, I would love it if all five Scottish teams got through to the next rounds in the respective competitions. But again, I don't see it happening. I think, for me personally, I think it will be Celtic and it will be Hibs.
Reagan?
I think it will be Celtic, Rangers, Hibs, and Hearts. I would like to see go through, but I don't know. I don't know if I can trust them in Vienna. But so I'm probably going to go for Celtic, Rangers, Hibs, and Hearts. I think Motherwell are definitely finished. There you go.
I think, guys, I would want your point on this one. Obviously, we'll come back tomorrow and the result of the week. It's a Highways game. They hate me for saying that, but I think Derek McInnes is throwing his players under the bus because after last night's game, he came out and said to the media, "We need one or two more." Now, if I was a player in that dressing room, I would be saying to myself, "What, you signed me, and am I not good enough?" So it reminded me of what Neil Lennon said to the Celtic players a few years ago in the Europa Cup, where Neil Lennon says, "Where we've not got our players aren't very good enough." So, I mean, what's going on at Ibrox, James? But I just think it's just falling to bits. And like Derek McInnes is a good manager, but I think he'll be out of a job very, very soon.
It's a possibility. As I said to you earlier, I think he's been kind of found a little bit wanting because last season at Hearts they had the that analytics team that were identifying players. He doesn't seem to have anything like that currently at Rangers. So it's gone back to the old-fashioned way of people coming to him and saying, X, Y, and Z. We should maybe be looking at them, and then he has to look at them on video and stuff like that. And possibly they're clutching at straws a wee bit, and they're basically throwing everything at
the
it
wall and nothing sticks.
And hope that something will happen. But then see the players that have been signed, right? Rangers are still a pretty big team, right? They should be feeling that they should be getting a great opportunity to play for a club whether you're going to agree with me saying this or not is another matter, but they've got a lot of history behind them. And therefore, it's a great opportunity. But some of these players are just not at that level for whatever reason. And they're probably getting paid a hell of a lot of money. So, should they have signed 10 or 12 players, or should they have done what Celtic have done so far, and they've only signed 4?
What is Cammy Devlin doing, by the way? What a ridiculous challenge that is. I mean, seriously, I wasn't watching the game. I thought I was watching Hearts, but I saw the result, and I didn't even look. I saw the result and I saw a red card, and I thought it's probably Devlin. I looked at it and thought, it was Devlin. Then I saw the challenge and I thought, what are you doing? What a ridiculous challenge to make when you've just come on the park. I don't get what he's doing with it.
I mean, I do think Graham Shankland and Deathling is the shadow of the players that they were last season. I mean, Shankland doesn't look interested. I mean, yeah, I think he had a few chances against, who was it last week? St Mirren as well in the Cup. But like going back to James's point, Reagan, and I would like your say so here about like a lot of Celtic fans. It's been slagging the board off because they've not been spending the cash, right? But after Tuesday night, I think you've got to give the board some credit.
I think you've got to give them credit. I think some of the signs have been good. I still think that Tierney's one injury away from Celtic and having no left backs. I still think they probably need a centre back because I tend to agree with Martin O'Neill saying that Vickers is fine because for me Vickers has been out for 12 months, so I think it's a bit much to say to him to play 60 odd games a season. I think you possibly need one more player in there, but I think Celtic will probably look at a midfielder to replace Ingles, then a second choice shortstopper, and then possibly a left back. I don't think I'll get my centre back. But yeah, I think 3 players in Celtic will be all right.
I mean, going back to Rangers, James, right? Before I know that, like you did, he talked about Celtic, right? But going back to Rangers for a minute, right? Celtic has won the league for so many seasons, right? And they've only brought in a handful of players. I think that's the difference between if you got to lump Celtic and Rangers together for a minute. Rangers has brought in, 9 or 10 players, and they've not gelled yet. And where Celtic's brought in, 3 or 4 players, and the majority has been there for years. Jane Forrest has certainly been there for years. Callum McGregor has been there for years. So, like, they've been over the course before. Like, they know what it's like to win leagues and cups and all the rest of it. So I think, like, that's a bit of a difference at the moment for me.
Well, I don't know how it works at other clubs, but certainly from a Celtic perspective, and I know this is what actually happens, Callum McGregor, whenever anybody new gets brought into the club, he's right in there. And he's, sort of educating them, for want of a better expression, on the club and what it means, etc., etc. And then you've got the likes of James Forrest and Kieran Tierney. They're going to back all that up as well. As I say, I don't know what it's like at other clubs, whether or not they don't have that sort of central character there that can do that. What about at Hearts, Graham? Would that be a similar thing that would have happened at Hearts or not?
Yeah, well, we've got Gary Locke, an ambassador for Hearts. So any new player that comes in, Gary Locke is very much at the forefront of telling players what it means to play for Hearts and all that kind of stuff, and telling about the history. So we do have somebody there that actually is engulfed in that kind of thing. And I think it does make a massive difference, I think it generally does.
Yeah. I mean, you just have to think, if you were a professional player, right, and you were signing for a team and you didn't really know a huge amount about them other than, they've got a good history of winning, competitions, cups, etc., you would want somebody within the club to be able to tell you a wee bit more about how important it is, not just to the club, but to the people who are paying their money to come and see the games every week. Because at the end of the day, that is their life. The fans, that is their life, going to watch their club, whoever the club is. That is their life, going there, supporting them. And it's generations that support football clubs. It's not just people that come in transiently and support football clubs. It's guys, like yourselves, and Graham, lifelong Hearts fan. I mean, I've been a Celtic fan since I don't know how young I was when I first got taken to watch them play. I was a season ticket holder for donkey's years. Even when I didn't live in Scotland, I still renewed a season ticket, and it remained at my mum's. And if I wasn't coming up for a game, then one of my cousins or whatever could use it to go and watch the games. But it is a thing that it's all about. To me, it's all about the people, not just the guys that are running the club and the guys that are playing the club. It's all about the people that are putting the money into the club, and that's the fans.
I think that's what Bill Shankly said many, many years ago. It's all about the people. I mean, players, managers come and go, but fans are always there. They're the ones that follow the club through thick and thin. And I think a lot of the players that are at any club, I think a lot of them don't understand that. I mean, Lawrence Shanklin's a Rangers fan. You would think he would go to Ibrox, know about the history, and be one of the main people there. But he's not even starting. He was on the bench yesterday.
Do you think he's maybe suffering a little bit because he's been a fan, and it's relatively speaking late in his career going there?
I think the pressure on him was massive. For what he done for Hearts, he was brilliant. But we're not. I've always said this. I know we're not a bigger club than Rangers. I know that. But going to Rangers is a big, big step. And sometimes the grass ain't always greener. Yeah. And I think he's finding that. Now, same as Cammy Devlin. I think they're finding that out now. It's a very, very big jump going from Hearts to Rangers. And right now they're really struggling. And there are people that fans are looking at them and going, "Why are you not performing?" Yeah. I just think again, this is only my thought on this. And again, it's very easy for me to say this in hindsight, but I think they've made completely the wrong move. I genuinely do.
Let's speak about the game then. You were at the game on Tuesday night, Reagan, and I think I texted you after the game. In fact, I think I texted the group chat as well about that was the best Celtic performance since Postecoglou's been at Celtic.
Yeah, it was. It was a good performance. It was good to see. I think Celtic played really well. I thought, I don't know you guys feel, but I thought Lash were a good team as well. I thought they moved the ball about very well. I thought the two players up front, they were very good, very quick.
Yeah.
I thought they were basketball players. Massive. I mean, I'm 6'1", but they must be the 8'2". Yeah.
Is that your waist size?
It must be the computer.
Right, that's enough about my height, my weight, and my. Right, okay, that's 24. I don't know why I say they were big guys for. But yeah, no, I was quite open game of football, Reagan, like the first 10 minutes. I mean, if it wasn't for VAR, Celtic could have been 2-0 down.
Aye, I mean, it's not often you think VAR, but I mean, football was a good thing because I felt that was some goal they scored. And then for Negrin to score that goal, that just kind of settled the place down. But I mean, I think even when Celtic went 3-0 up, I thought Lask still played pretty well. I thought they actually created a lot of chances. I didn't actually feel settled until that final whistle went.
Yeah. I mean, I said in a group chat that Celtic would have to win 3-0 to take to Austria, and that's what they got. But it's going to be a very difficult game next week, and I think Celtic will have to get an early goal rather than concede a goal. So it's still in the balance, I think.
I think the thing for Celtic is hopefully that Lask will fight the ties over, and possibly after 40 minutes it'll still be 0-0.
Yeah.
If it stays like that, then it'll be fine. But see if Lask get their tails up and they score early, Celtic will be not badging themselves, even though they're 3-0 up.
Yeah.
Because if they can get one goal, then they can get two inside inside a very quick time. Look at times before when clubs have got 2 goals in the space of 2 minutes. So you just never know.
Greg, what's your thoughts about the Celtic game on Tuesday?
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday evening.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Lask looked pretty decent, but they just weren't clinical enough, and Celtic were clinical. The goals he scored, I mean, Negrin's goal was outstanding, and the goals from Duran as well, especially that second goal. Great move from the goalkeeper. I think it was, 8 passes led to a goal. Yeah. Fantastic goal. Celtic look very, very clinical right now, which is why I've already said I think they'll go through the league season unbeaten. I just don't see who beats them right now. They're very clinical. And I think the second leg, I do think Celtic will get through, because even if they were to concede over there, I think they've got more than enough to score over there as well. And I know that you look at Celtic and look at guys like McGregor and stuff, and they've got a lot of quality. I know they've obviously lost Arnie Engels, but for me, the one that Celtic couldn't afford to lose in this window is Nygren. He's such a threat. Was it 19 goals last season? He's already got a few this season. Yeah. He's such an important player. Like, as much as McGregor dictates the game from midfield, he always has done. Having that threat from midfield that Nygren's got, who can break in at the box, that goal as well was a fantastic goal. He is so important to Celtic right now. And we talk about money these days in English Premiership and stuff. How much is Nygren worth right now? Because it's probably quite a bit.
Yeah. And it's not just the fact that he scores those goals. I mean, it's the assists as well. Do you know what I mean? He's great at creating goals for other people as well. I must admit, for me, I thought, in my opinion, the best player for Celtic was Colby Donovan. I was a wee bit surprised at how well he did. I know there's a good player there, but at 19, I thought it might be a step too far for him. You know,
a lot of confidence as well.
And
James.
he was absolutely superb. And the fact that him and Duran seemed to have formed a kind of relationship on that right-hand side was just a super thing to see.
There you go. Reagan is going to a bath, so we will let him go. And have a nice holiday, Reagan. He's going to Saltcoats for the week, so so we'll see you when you come back. And watch out Spain. That's what I say.
Yeah, lock up your daughters.
Yeah. And yeah,
guys.
Hey, Reagan.
Yeah,
there you go. That was Reagan.
I'm embarrassed now.
It was great to be on with you guys once again.
Reagan. And then just finally we went from a good performance from a Celtic game. Don't like to hear this, but a Celtic fan passed away at the game. He got rushed to the Royal, and from there, and he passed away in hospital. So thoughts and prayers with him and his family at this difficult time. Finish off talking about Motherwell, Graham, 3-1. They get beat. They were 1-1 actually last night. And 3-1, they're up against getting the second leg.
Yeah, I don't see them getting through that. I mean, you've got to look at the fact that Freiburg were in a European final last season. They're a very good side. And I think they showed that last night. Again, Mother won't be judged on that. It would be great if they can make the group stage football, but I just think it's come a bit too early for them. I mean, I think the football they're playing, I've said it weeks ago, it's exactly like it is under Askew. This new manager playing exactly the same kind of style, and it's great to see. But again, it's a risk and reward, a bit like Vranken.
Yeah.
But it's a very difficult test. I just don't see any way they get through this. Because even if they can score over there, I think Freiburg will score more. So yeah, disappointing. I think great support from Motherwell last night, as it should be. But I just think this is a very good side they're up against. And there's no shame getting knocked out by a team that played in a European final last season. So Motherwell, I think, will have a good season. I generally think they will. But I think their European campaign, maybe like Hearts, will probably come to an end.
Yeah. I think the best chance they had of an upset last night was the fact that was Freiburg's first competitive game. You know, so if they were a wee bit rusty, you know, there was a good chance that Motherwell could maybe get the win last night. But it just wasn't to be, unfortunately. And they had a player sent off, if my memory serves me right, Motherwell, didn't they? Conceding a penalty and then got sent off. Am I wrong in that? Or
I'm not too sure.
I thought I'd read that today, that Motherwell player gave away a penalty and got sent off after a VAR review or something.
Yeah, I think he did. I think I saw it on Sky News after the game where You know, they give you a breakdown of the game.
Yeah.
And I think you're right as
Mhm.
well. Graham, I hate to ask you this, but brilliant performance from Hibs again, away from home against Ghent. And I think they've got a kind of 50% or maybe 70% chance of making the group stages of the Conference League.
Yeah, that's disappointing, isn't it? No, I'm not bad. No, it was a great result. I genuinely thought they were going to get hammered because that team are a good side in Belgium. But to go away from home, they missed a penalty as well. Owen Elding as well.
Yeah.
They've got a phenomenal chance. This will be the first time they'll have ever made group stage football if they can get it. I think East Road will be buzzing next week. It'll be very busy. And what a chance they've got. I mean, if they can get that, the money they get from that will be massive. We play group stage football. The thing is, though, we play group stage football a couple of times now, and it does affect the league form.
Yeah.
So you wonder how that would affect them if they did make it. But for them, it would be incredible if they did. And do you know what? They've got a very big chance now because that game's at Easter Road. If they can go to Belgium and get a 0-0 draw, there's every chance they can get a win next week. And it would be great for them if they did. Not for me, but for them it would be.
And that's the thing for, clubs like Hearts, Hibs, Motherwell as well this year. If they go through into the European stages, they really need to have a bigger squad, because that's when it comes important. Because as you say, Graham, it's the whole thing about, playing on a Thursday night and then you're back playing again on the Sunday. It really stretches your squad. It's great that the finance comes into the club, but from the players' perspective, it really does kind of play on them, doesn't
it? So that is the final whistle, and thanks for joining us tonight. It's been a busy show, an eventful show as well, and it just showed you technology is not your best friend at times. Just ask Mr. Duffy as well. So thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks to Graham, thanks to James, thanks to Alaska, and thanks to Reagan. Please subscribe to the Scottish Football Zone channel and watch out for the channel, watch out for shows during the week as well. Enjoy your non-weekend football action apart from the Dundee game, but it all kicks off in Inverness in about half an hour's time. So we'll see you soon here on the Scottish Football Zone.
Please subscribe to the channel Scottish Football.